There are places in this world where the line between the living and the dead blurs. Places where the past refuses to stay buried, and the shadows hold secrets too terrifying to comprehend. This is one of those places. Nestled in the heart of the Rocky Mountains, the Stanley Hotel stands as a monument to both grandeur and terror. Its white facade gleams in the sunlight, but as the sun sets and shadows stretch across its walls, the hotel transforms. It becomes something else entirely, a place where the past lingers, where whispers echo through empty hallways, and where the line between the living and the dead blurs. This is not just a hotel. It is a living, breathing entity, a place where stories of horror and mystery intertwine with reality. It is the hotel that inspired Stephen King's The Shining, one of the most terrifying tales ever told. But the true story of the Stanley Hotel is far more chilling than fiction. The history, a legacy of elegance and darkness. The Stanley Hotel was built in 1909 by Freeland Oscar Stanley, a man who defied death itself. Diagnosed with tuberculosis and given only months to live, Stanley moved to the crisp, clean air of Estes Park, Colorado. Miraculously, he recovered. Grateful for his second chance at life, he decided to build a hotel that would stand as a testament to his resilience and vision. The hotel was a marvel of its time, boasting electricity and running water, luxuries that were unheard of in most parts of the world. It quickly became a haven for the wealthy and elite, a place where the rich could escape the chaos of the world and bask in the beauty of the Rockies. But beneath its glamorous surface, something darker lurked. Almost from the beginning, guests and staff reported strange occurrences: whispers in empty rooms, footsteps in deserted hallways, and the faint sound of piano music drifting through the night. It was as if the hotel itself had a life of its own. Flora Stanley, Freeland's wife, was the heart of the hotel. A talented pianist, she often entertained guests in the grand ballroom. But even after her death in 1939, her presence lingered. To this day, visitors claim to hear the faint strains of her piano playing, echoing through the empty halls. The Shining Connection, a nightmare, come to life. In 1974, Stephen King was a struggling writer, searching for his next big idea. He and his wife, Tabitha, decided to take a trip to Colorado, where they stumbled upon the Stanley Hotel. It was the off-season, and the couple found themselves as the only guests in the massive empty building. King later described the experience as surreal. The long, empty corridors, the creaking floorboards, and the oppressive silence, all contributed to a sense of unease. That night, he had a nightmare that would change his life and the world of horror forever. In his dream, King saw his son, Joe, being pursued by a malevolent force. When he woke up, he was drenched in sweat. He immediately began writing what would become The Shining. The novel, published in 1977, was a massive success. But it was Stanley Kubrick's 1980 film adaptation that cemented the Stanley Hotel's place in pop culture history. While the movie was filmed at a different location, the spirit of the Stanley Hotel permeates every frame. But here's the chilling part. King's experience at the Stanley Hotel wasn't just a source of inspiration. Many believe that the hotel itself played a role in shaping the story. Some even say that the malevolent force King encountered in his dream was real. The hauntings, ghosts of the past. The Stanley Hotel is not just a place of beauty and history. It is a place of ghosts. Over the years, countless guests and staff have reported paranormal encounters that defy explanation. Flora Stanley's piano. Flora. Stanley's presence is perhaps the most enduring legend of the Stanley Hotel. Guests and staff have reported hearing the faint sound of a piano playing in the empty ballroom. Some have even seen the keys moving on their own, as if an invisible hand was playing a melody only they could hear. One night, a guest staying in a room near the ballroom was awakened by the sound of music. Curious, they followed the sound to the ballroom, only to find it empty. As they stood in the doorway, the music stopped abruptly, and they felt a cold hand on their shoulder. When they turned around, no one was there. Room 217. Room 217 is the most famous and most haunted room in the Hotel Berghaus. It's where Stephen King stayed during his fateful visit, and it's also where many guests have reported strange occurrences. One guest claimed that after unpacking their suitcase, they returned to find all their clothes neatly folded and put away. Another reported waking up in the middle of the night to find the lights on and the feeling of someone tucking them into bed. But the most chilling story comes from a couple who stayed in room 217 on their honeymoon. They woke up in the middle of the night to find the room filled with a cold, oppressive presence. The husband felt something pressing down on his chest, making it difficult to breathe. When he opened his eyes, he saw a shadowy figure standing at the foot of the bed, staring at him. The figure vanished as suddenly as it appeared, leaving the couple shaken and unable to sleep for the rest of the night. The fourth floor is known for its playful and sometimes unsettling activity. Guests have reported hearing children laughing and running in the hallways, even when no children are staying at the hotel. Some have even seen shadowy figures darting in and out of rooms, as if playing a game of hide-and-seek. One family staying on the fourth floor reported that their young daughter began talking to an imaginary friend named Timmy. At first, they thought nothing of it. But as the days went on, the girl's behavior became increasingly strange. She would laugh and giggle at nothing, and sometimes she would stare at the corner of the room as if someone was there. On their last night at the hotel, the parents were awakened by the sound of their daughter screaming. They rushed to her room to find her standing in the middle of the floor, her eyes wide with terror. She pointed to the corner of the room and whispered, "Timmy says he's coming for me." The family left the hotel that night and never returned. The underground tunnels beneath the hotel lies a network of tunnels, originally used for storage and maintenance. But, over the years, these tunnels have become a hotspot for paranormal activity. Investigators have recorded strange voices, unexplained footsteps, and even the sound of machinery running, despite the tunnels being abandoned for decades. One night, a group of paranormal investigators decided to explore the tunnels. As they made their way deeper into the darkness, they began to hear the sound of footsteps behind them. So they thought it was an echo, but the footsteps grew louder and closer. When they turned around, they saw a shadowy figure standing at the end of the tunnel. It was tall and thin, with glowing red eyes. The figure began to move toward them, and the investigators ran for their lives. When they reached the surface, they were pale and shaking, vowing never to return to the tunnels. The concert hall. The hotel's concert hall is another site of frequent activity. Staff have reported seeing shadowy figures moving across the stage, and guests have claimed to hear the sound of applause and laughter, even when the hall is empty. One night, a security guard was making his rounds when he heard the sound of music coming from the concert hall. Curious, he went to investigate. As he approached the doors, the music grew louder, and he could hear the sound of people talking and laughing. When he opened the doors, the hall was empty. The music stopped abruptly, and the guard felt a cold hand on his shoulder. When he turned around, he saw a woman in a white dress standing behind him. She smiled at him and then vanished into thin air. The final twist, a place that never lets go. The Stanley Hotel is more than just a building. It is a living, breathing entity, a place where the past refuses to stay buried. It is a place where the line between the living and the dead blurs, and where the unimaginable becomes real. But here's the most chilling part. The hotel doesn't just haunt its guests. It stays with them long after they leave. One guest reported that after staying at the hotel, they began to experience strange occurrences in their own home. They would hear footsteps in the hallway, see shadowy figures out of the corner of their eye, and feel a cold presence in the room. Another guest claimed that after their visit, they began to have nightmares about the hotel. In their dreams, they were trapped in the long, empty corridors, pursued by a shadowy figure that they could never quite see. It's as if the hotel has a way of reaching out and touching those who visit it, leaving a mark that never fades. So, What is it about the Stanley Hotel that makes it so special? Is it the history, the legends, or is it something deeper, something we can't quite explain? Perhaps the real question is, what will you experience when you visit? Will you hear Flora's piano? Will you feel a presence in room 217? Or will you encounter something far more terrifying? The Stanley Hotel is a place of beauty and horror, of history and mystery. It is a place where the past comes alive and where the line between reality and nightmare blurs. Would you dare to spend the night? If you enjoyed this journey into the haunted halls of the Stanley Hotel, don't forget to explore more of the world's most terrifying places. From the mysterious Dyatlov Pass incident to the chilling tale of America's most haunted doll, there are countless stories waiting to be uncovered. Stay curious.